The following lesson is linked to Learning Outcome 2, Reading and Viewing. It addresses the assessment standard that requires learners to explore and explain key features of texts and how they contribute to meaning. Learners should be able to recognize how dialogue and action are related to character and theme.
Hi there. We have looked at how Romeo reveals himself by what he says and does, and at how his character is revealed by what Benvolio and his father say about him. In this lesson, we will be extending our understanding of characterization by discussing and analyzing Juliet in the same way. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to analyze Juliet's character using the events and the dialogue of the play.
Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your dispositions to be married?
It is an honor that I dream not of.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you, here in Verona, ladies of esteem are made already mothers. By my count, I was your mother, much upon the years that you are now a maid. Thus then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love. What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris's love?
I'll look to like, if looking liking move, but no more deep line dart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly.
Lady Capulet talks of Juliet's youth, and we learn during the scene that she is 13 years old, a girl in the 16th century. How do you think she has been brought up? She will have been very closely protected. She will have had little experience of people other than those closest to her, her nurse, her parents, the members of her family. What evidence can you find in this extract from the play that will support these guesses? We have seen it acted out for us. Now, let us look at the lines. Her mother asks her what she thinks of being married. How does Juliet reply?
It is an honor that I dream not of.
This is an extremely tactful reply. Juliet calls marriage an honor, a privilege or distinction which she has not considered or thought about. She implies that she would feel privileged if her parents suggested that she be married. She also says she hasn't dreamed of being married. The word dream also suggests her willingness to fit in with whatever arrangements her parents might make. She doesn't say no, or that she doesn't want to be married, or that she's too young. She just says she hasn't thought about it, but the words she uses, honor, dream, suggest that she would be very willing to think about marriage if that is what her mother wants. Remember that her father has been approached by Paris and has decided to allow Paris to think about marriage with Juliet. Her mother informs her of what her father has decided, and the arrangements are made by the parents. Juliet is not allowed to choose her future husband for herself. This is the way marriages were arranged within the higher social classes. It was not in any way unusual. However, her mother does ask her what she thinks about Paris.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman?
Juliet's answer is again tactful and compliant. She will fit in with whatever her mother wants.
I'll look to like, if looking liking move, but no more deep line dart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly.
Let us look a little more closely at these lines. Juliet says that she will look to see if she likes Paris, to see if looking moves her to be attracted by him. She will look at Paris with the hope of finding him attractive. But Juliet adds, she will not dart or in dart her eyes further or more deep. She will not allow her glances to shoot like darts any further than her mother's permission will allow her. Juliet is saying that she will not stare at Paris and she will not make eyes at Paris. She won't flirt with him or try to attract him. She will behave in accordance with her mother's consent or approval. Juliet responds to her mother's suggestions like a dutiful, modest, well-brought-up daughter. Let's summarize what we know about Juliet so far. She is young and inexperienced. She is dominated by her father and mother. She is very willing to be obedient and do whatever her parents want of her. There is no sign as yet of the strong-willed girl we know she's about to become. She dances with Paris at the party. Romeo sees her, can't find out who she is, but makes his way to her side and starts to speak to her. Here is their first meeting.
If I profane my unworthiest hand, this holy shrine, then the gentle sin is this: my lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much, which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have saints not lips and holy palms too?
Aye, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Then let lips do what hands do. They pray. Grant that, lest fates turn to despair.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not, while my prayer's effect I take. Thus, from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged.
Have my lips the sin that they have took?
Sin from my lips? Oh, trespass sweetly urged, give me my sin again.
Romeo addresses Juliet in language that describes love as a religion. He calls her hand a shrine. Her hand has become a sacred place, and his lips are turned into shy pilgrims, religious travelers, waiting to worship her. These metaphors highlight the devotion and respect with which Romeo regards Juliet. Juliet responds by extending Romeo's imagery. She says he wrongs his hand. He treats his hand too unjustly because his hand is behaving in a way that shows mannerly devotion. It is showing decent admiration and love. Because statues of saints have hands that pilgrims touch with their hands, and a touching of the palm, the inside part of the hand, is the same as a kiss for pilgrims, holy palmers. She is pointing out that if Romeo insists on treating her as if she were a statue of a saint in a shrine, then he must not criticize his own gestures, for pilgrims' hands are allowed to touch those of sacred images. Romeo asks if saints and pilgrims also have lips, and Juliet says, yes, lips that they must use for saying prayers. Juliet teasingly denies Romeo a kiss, saying if he is a true pilgrim, he will use his lips for praying only. Romeo then calls her a dear saint and asks that she let their lips do what their hands are doing. Romeo says that lips beg or pray. He asks her to grant his lips what they want, in case belief becomes loss of hope. Romeo is asking if he can kiss Juliet, and warning her that if she doesn't let him, he might despair. And despair, which implied loss of trust in God, was thought of as a major sin. Juliet replies that statues of saints do not move, although they are able to grant the requests made in prayers. And Romeo commands her not to move while he claims the result of his prayer. And he kisses her. Remember, this is the girl who says she won't do anything without the permission of her mother.
Thus, from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged.
Have my lips the sin that they have took?
Juliet then teases Romeo and says he must have left his sin on her lips. His sin was despairing because he couldn't get a kiss. So, what is Juliet inviting him to do? Kiss her again, so he can take his own sin back. This is not the quiet, submissive girl we saw before the party. What has happened? It is quite clear that she has fallen in love, and this has changed her personality. How has Juliet changed? She is much more independent. She acts without reference to her parents, only to her own feelings. She even encourages Romeo to kiss her twice. Notice something else about the lines that Shakespeare gives the two young lovers. In their first meeting, Romeo and Juliet speak in rhymed lines that form a love sonnet. A sonnet is a poem with 14 lines. This love sonnet appropriately ends with their kiss. The harmony and beauty of their developing relationship is thus emphasized. Romeo's requests and Juliet's responses unite to form an ordered, elevated piece of poetry. This poetry indicates the growing maturity of both young people. We have already discussed that the lines Romeo and Juliet say to one another in this scene take the form of a sonnet. Copy the words of the sonnet down and break them into the different components of a sonnet. Discuss the meaning and significance of each group of lines. In the next lesson, we shall look at Shakespeare's use of language in his plays. From me, goodbye.